Our guest tonight is Mr Max L., the President of the Newcastle branch of the Retail Traders Association. The association has become very concerned with the growing incidence of juvenile shoplifters in the city. Mr L., just how bad is this problem?
It's increasing very much, and it's made evident by the fact that so many more children are now being apprehended for stealing in shops.
What age range would they be?
They cover an age from about 10 up to high school students and then on to teenagers.
What things do they mainly take? Valuable items or just anything?
They just seem to take anything. There doesn't seem to be a particular need for the articles they steal.
What measures can be taken to combat this?
By a great deal of increased surveillance, more shop detectives and a general awareness on the part of staff.
Well, has this been introduced for the coming holidays?
Very much so. Last year, on the first day of the school holidays, some hundreds of children descended on the city, and there were quite a large number of children taken to the police station as a result of it. And so, to be sure, this year every store has been alerted to be more aware of the problem.
Of the total number of shoplifting offenders, how many would be juveniles?
Well, we catch in our store about 200 each year, as against about 20 to 30 adults.
Well, what happens to these children?
They're usually taken to the police, where their name is recorded in a file, and if they become a second offender, then they're charged.
They're generally not charged the first time, but if they are caught a second time, it is treated as a second offence then?
They're charged the first time if they've taken things from a number of stores, or they give wrong names, or in other ways prove to be objectionable.
Do you think their parents are aware that their children are shoplifters?
No, I don't think so. Parents generally are confident of their children, but they don't realise the influence of the peer groups in the schools where other children are stealing, and they encourage one another to steal.
So how do parents account for the number of extra goods their children would have?
I think most parents give their children adequate pocket money, and it doesn't become apparent to them.
So you think they steal for kicks, not for out of any need?
I think they steal more because their fellows steal.
Mm-hmm. Well, what percentage of net profits for most stores each year would be drained off by the activities of shoplifters?
It's very hard to estimate any particular figure. It varies from store to store.
Well,
and
how much would it have grown, say, in the last 5 years, this problem?
We can only really tell by the increasing number of children that are caught, and this had increased about tenfold.
Well, in what age group or what sex are the most common of the shoplifters?
The group that's giving us the most concern at present is the teenage girls and the high school girls.
Do they go after anything in particular?
No, we weren't aware of them very much until recent times, but again I think the same influence prevails.
Mm-hmm. Well, on to a more pleasant subject, Mr L. How do the trading figures so far for this Christmas season compare with other years?
They've been very good indeed. Increases of up to 10% have been shown by most stores, but from tomorrow it will be the most concentrated period of shopping that Newcastle has ever known.
Well, are you expecting any last-minute rush between now and Christmas, or do you think most people have got the bulk of their shopping done?
No, I'd suggest that next Monday will be our busiest day. Over the weekend people make up their lists and come to town on the Monday for their final shopping.
Mm-hmm. Well, from your own experience in your own store, are people generally buying more expensive gifts this year than before, or what?
I believe they're being much more discriminating. They're being much more careful in their selection.
Well, has there been any evidence of any shortage of money, or are they spending up well?
Oh no, they're spending very well indeed. Very well indeed.
Our guest tonight has been Mr Max L., the President of the Newcastle branch of the Retail Traders Association.
How successful do you think the campaign will be?
I'm hoping that it will be successful, that we will see a reduction in the number of fatalities and accidents over the Christmas New Year period. It must of course be a short-term impact. It isn't something that one could run for 12 months. But as it had been suggested by such a worthy group of people, I thought we ought to get behind it.
In a Channel 3 survey this morning, only about 2% of the cars did have their lights on. Well, how successful do you think the campaign will be in this light?
Well, the campaign, of course, only commenced yesterday. I've been happy to note that even though there is only a small percentage being in it at the moment, that this percentage is amongst young people and amongst women. So I'm hoping that the older males particularly will get behind the campaign and not see it as something silly, but as something that draws attention to the need for road safety. And any campaign that does this is something that the whole community, I believe, ought to support.
Many of those with lights on didn't have seat belts on, so do you think they're only paying lip service to road safety?
They're probably picking it up from the car radio, but I'm glad you've raised the question of seat belts, because this is the short-term, sure method of saving lives. And if we can run a lights on and seatbelt campaign and get the message over in the next 2 or 3 weeks, in other words, get people into the habit of buckling up their seat belts, then we will have performed a real community service.
Are government vehicles being asked to participate in the campaign?
Yes, I've asked all government vehicles to participate, including the police vehicles, and I believe that they are doing so.
We have seen quite a few this morning that weren't participating.
Well, we'll have to get the message around in the next day or two. It's something novel and it's something new, and I think perhaps it will take us until about the middle of Christmas week to get people into the swim and into the spirit of the campaign.
When does the campaign finish?
I think it finishes just after the New Year weekend.
Than 1,000.
Everything to me.
Our guest this evening is a man who nearly a year ago was a visitor in everyone's home. But though he was a very welcome guest, no one saw him, and so tonight we will meet him face to face. Good evening, Mr. Santa Claus.
Ho, 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 and Merry Christmas to you. And how is everyone?
Santa, are your reindeers ready to go?
Yes, my reindeers are always ready to go. And it is only a matter of whether it is too hot or if the weather is fine, they can travel to all over Australia.
And are your toys packed and ready?
My toys are all packed and ready for every boy and girl in Australia.
Have you had any industrial trouble at the North Pole?
No, we have no trouble at the industrial trouble at the North Pole because Santa and all his helpers never go on strike.
Santa, what do you advise the boys and girls to do on Christmas Eve?
Well, I think all boys and girls should go to bed quite early on Christmas Eve, before they go to bed, to hang up their stockings under the Christmas tree or on the bedpost or anything like that. Or if they want a lot of toys, they can hang up a pillow slip or something else like that. But make sure they go to bed quite early, because if I see them when I come around, they don't get any toys.
Do you like anything left out when you get to each home?
Oh my word, I'm always thirsty, and I'd like them to drop me some lemonade and maybe a little piece of cake.
Some of the boys and girls' houses don't have chimneys. Can you still get in?
Well, I always make it a point to tell the boys and girls to either leave the door open or leave the window open. And they all agree to that because they wouldn't like my beer to get dirty coming down the chimney.
No. Mr. Claus, what have been your most popular requests this year?
Well, as far as the boys are concerned, if they're the elder type of boy, they generally want a dragster bike. But I also advise them that if they have permission from their father, well, we can give them a bike. But if they haven't, well, they don't get it because their father probably would tell me to take it back again. Now, as far as the younger girls is concerned, they want beautiful Chrissy or the doll in the shower, or just more or less ordinary dolls and things like that. Younger boys generally they want to have these racing car sets and things like that, you see. And they're pretty well popular, and I think it's been pretty well like that over the years.
Thank you very much, Mr. Santa Claus, and now we'd like to eavesdrop on some of your conversations.
Well, I said yesterday that my Christmas tree wasn't getting up.
Yes.
Well, it is today.
Oh, well, that's all the better, isn't it? And how many days is it to Christmas now?
I think 3.
Well, you're thinking right as well, that's right. And, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put all your nice presents under the Christmas tree, and when you get up on Christmas morning, you go down to the Christmas tree, and you find all those nice presents with your name on, and they're all yours. Is that all right?
Yes.
And will you come back and see me again?
Yes.
And we have some more lollies for you.
Thank you.
And happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas.
You're a pretty girl, you know. Bye-bye.